Hey everyone, welcome back to the Inner Child series. Today's video number 3, we are looking at the child that needs safety and reassurance. So this is an important topic in inner child work because we are looking at the needs that this child has. And if we look at some of the stuff we've been exploring before around needs and how our emotions communicate our needs to us, we need to understand that this child has needs, just as we have needs. And when those needs go unmet is when things start to create issues in our lives. We become unhappy. So when we start to learn to meet these needs for ourselves, our whole life can change. Okay, so today we're going to be exploring how to meet the needs of safety and reassurance for our inner child. So I want to start off by just talking a bit about parenting and how that leads into the work that we're going to do. So parenting is interesting in the sense that it really is a very pressure-filled role, okay? And what I need people to understand is that you as a parent will never be able to meet all of your child's needs. And for the simple reason that you should never meet all of your child's needs because you are not that child. You do not know what that child needs. And any time that we think we know what somebody needs, it's merely just a projection of what we think they need. And this is where the parenting-child relationship can become strained, is because we start to project what we think they need. And this can happen in intimate relationships too, because every time we think we are meeting somebody's need, we really just think we're meeting their need based off of our own perception of the situation. Okay, so with that being said, as a parent, I would encourage you to allow your children to make mistakes, to not control the outcomes of the things that happen in their lives, because it's important for their spiritual evolution in order for them to find their place in the world, for them to make mistakes, for them to develop the resilience that they're going to need to move forward. So this brings us into how we can start to use this new mindset around parenting to develop a relationship and parent our own inner child. Because we need to learn how to forgive the needs that went unmet in our upbringing. Okay? This forgiveness is paramount in this experience because we need to make sure that we have an understanding that it was not our parents' roles to meet all of our needs, because it's impossible to meet every single need of your child. Okay? With this being said, that's not me saying that we need to accept that things happen to us as they did and just be okay with it. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. Because there's an element of self-responsibility that needs to happen in order for us to move forward from where we are now. That does not mean we need to take responsibility or accept what happened to us in the past up until this point, right? We want to practice forgiveness around that so we can energetically release these emotional handcuffs that were being shackled in, so we can move forward and step into our awesomeness. Okay, so first we need to forgive for not having our needs met, and then we need to move into a place of self-responsibility so we can therefore take charge of our lives and say, this is what I want to move into, and I want to stop being a victim to my past. Okay, so looking at becoming, well, I guess let's look at how we meet the needs of safety and reassurance for our inner child. We need to become the parent that we feel like we didn't have, that met the needs that we had as a child. We need to become that to ourselves now. Okay, it's not too late to step into that role and provide these needs for yourself. And I've come up with 3 ways that we can do this and provide these needs for ourselves. So it's going to be to honor, protect, and nurture. These are a lot of things that we didn't get our needs met around, and I'm going to teach you guys how to start to provide this for yourself. And this is something really cool, because as a parent, you can start to implement these things, and instead of controlling the outcomes and trying to meet every single need and being a perfectionist parent, you can move into, with your own children, how you can support their journey, and how you can teach them and develop resilience, which is one of the best qualities that we can have as adults. So this can also be shifted and turned into that as well. So let's start off by talking about honoring. So how do we honor our inner child? Well, the biggest thing is going to be to take a trip down memory lane with yourself, with your inner child, and explore some of these fundamental things that happened to you in your life that really were pivotal in developing who you are. So it may be a trauma, it may be something that happened to you in your life and that you just split from and you ran from it. You just took off and you started running, and into your adulthood you ran. And what I need you to do is you need to look back and you need to see that your inner child is still sitting in that same memory, in that same place, and you need to go rescue this child, and you need to go and honor them and honor their experience and quit trying to change their experience to shape it to be something that you're okay as an adult to sit with and deal with, right? That's how we honor somebody's experience. We hold space for them to be exactly as they need to be. Okay? The second one is going to be to protect. So protection is something that is so crucial for us as human beings. We need to feel like we have shelter. We need to feel like we're protected emotionally, and we need to feel like we're protected physically. Or this is how we feel safe. So providing that for our inner child is going to be protecting ourselves from ourselves, no different than we would protect a child on the playground that's being bullied. Okay, we have an inner bully and we have an inner coach inside of us, and a lot of times our inner bully is a lot bigger than our inner coach. So we need to start to protect ourselves from this inner bully, this critical mind that is telling us that we are not good enough, that we are not perfect, whole, and complete just as we are, because we are perfect, whole, and complete just as we are. When we tune into that love energy inside of us, we know, we have an inner knowing, we're born into this inner knowing that we are perfect, whole, and complete just as we are. It's these traumas, these things, this domestication that happens to us in our lives that takes us away from this knowing. We need to tune back into this, okay? The next one is going to be nurturing. So nurturing is going to be all about giving love, okay? Being there, holding space for your young inner child to feel the feelings that it needs to feel. Okay, so how do we do this? Well, we practice self-compassion. When we make mistakes, when we make failures, when things don't go our way, we practice self-compassion. This is such a huge element, and this is a major element I teach to all my clients in my coaching, is we have to be more compassionate with ourselves. Because the harder we are on ourselves, the more we use shame as a way to motivate ourselves and to change behavior, but that doesn't work. It puts us into more spirals of feeling like shit. So we need to learn how to be more compassionate with ourselves and start to focus on what's working in our lives so we can move into the awesomeness we want to step into. Okay? That's how we nurture ourselves. We give ourselves exactly what we are looking for outside of ourselves. Right? We look for love outside of ourselves. We look for all of these things outside of ourselves, but we need to first tune into the love inside of ourselves. Right? If you're no good at intimate relationships and they keep failing, it's because you're not going inward and loving yourself and showing up into these relationships whole and perfect and complete, right? So you can be of service to each other, not try and possess, control, or be selfish to get your needs met that you're not meeting for yourself. Okay? That's the inner child trying to look for something to love it and nurture it, but it's looking for you, for your attention to come inward and do this work. Okay? So, one of the things that I found really beneficial for me is creating a separate entity, a separate energetic entity from myself. So, I am Matt. My inner child is Matthew. So, I speak to Matthew as a separate entity from myself. And I encourage him, I coach him, I bring him out of his shell, I let him play, I let him explore, I let him be goofy and silly, right? Without shame, without the presence of shame, because these are things that we've used and learned to control our behavior. People use shame to control our behavior. Right? This is why we care what people think, because we care what they think because we feel shame, and then when we feel shame, we stop the behavior that people are caring about what we look like. Okay? So that's all I got for you today. This is really cool work. I'm looking forward to talking to you guys tomorrow about play and exploration. Have a good day. Bye.